Хай, сегодня главный день, что Рабай здесь, он хочет нам Тора учить. Это главный, самый главный. Пожалуйста, сейчас начинаем. Aaron, please, the chair is available.
So last week we spoke about Chalav Yisrael. I also think I gave her a little too much information. I try to simplify it as much as I can. But there's only so much I can simplify, so much information. So the conclusion was that Rav Ovadia doesn't allow it. Chalav Stam, regular OUD, with the government supervision, Rav Ovadia doesn't allow it. We saw Rav Yitzchak Yosef, we read the whole Tshuva from Rav Yitzchak Yosef, and he said his father told him not to eat it even when they were in an event at Safra's house. And Rav Ovadia said, don't touch any of the dairy products, you don't let them eat anything. We also brought that the Mitziyut now became much more complex. And Rav Auerbach sent me an email, one of the biggest kashrut experts in the world, and he thinks that Rav Moshe Feinz would be alive today, he would change his mind. And besides the fact that we mentioned you don't have the heterim of the poskim that say that if you don't have any animal that's tameh in the city, it's okay, because now, right in the same city, they are also making camel milk besides cow milk, so we don't have en ve'imat mi'ah be'ir, also that we mentioned. We also mentioned that there's a lot of surgeries being done on these animals, which makes them taref, and there is treif milk also mixed into OUD products. We brought a machloket amongst people today in Mitziut whether or not it's batel b'shishim. Some say yes, some say no. The accepted view is that it's batel b'shishim, but even so you still have treif milk mixed in there from animals that procedures were done on them. So the conclusion was, for people that are from people, Baruch Hashem, we have a lot of Chalav Yisrael today in the market. Try to stick to Chalav Yisrael. Now, if it's hard, it's a transition, it's a growing process. You don't have to drastically change in one day, but the best thing would be.
So what if they don't understand the role you?
Rav Belsky once said, many people think that if the OU says OU, that means they agree. That's not true. So Rav Belsky said the OU giving a hechsher to the whole country. They're very big hechsher. They have to give a hechsher if they find a tzad to be makel on something. They need to give a hechsher on it to the people that are on that level in the places where they're in. Right?
How about like milk in Trader Joe's?
So I'm telling you, just because it has, Rav Belsky was the posik for OU, right? We used to go with him to OU to see how he passed in Shailon. I'm explaining to you. I was there with I asked her, I spoke to Rav Belsky about this, and I've heard him answer Shailas on this. He himself would not tell you you're allowed to drink OU. But since Rav Moshe allows it, and there are many people in many places that do not have access to Chalav Yisrael, so in places like that, people need to clarify with their Rav what their standard is. If there is a tzad to be lenient on something in Pi'alacha, so they would tell you that here there is a leniency, but every Rav has to decide with his Rav what his standard is. Just because there is a hechsher on it, doesn't mean the Rav of the hechsher, will eat it.
Consideration that it's still God's kosher.
It's not God kosher, no.
It's still mashgiach there, isn't it?
No.
No mashgiach there?
No.
There's it's all business then. It's all it's all fake.
Rabbi,
no.
Halacha spoils much faster than regular milk.
There's no black milk in Israel.
You ask the same thing. No, we buy halal, but one day if you don't finish it in 1.5 days, it's
not one day.
No,
3 days.
No.
I have it in my house for almost a week. I have it in my house. It's good.
No. Maybe you have a good refrigerator.
It's true.
You also have a refrigerator Sub-Zero.
Maybe you should change your refrigerator.
No. In Manu, the halal Israel spoils within 2.5 days. 2 days maximum.
Why? Pure probably.
That's why. I don't know why.
The ingredients over there.
No,
once you have ingredients, then it's not milk.
it's the same.
The example of milk is milk.
It's the same thing.
Once you have ingredients, who cares what they put?
It's the same thing. You weren't here last week. You go online, listen to the shir. Let's go on.
I'm sorry. So we missed
I just wanted to conclude last week. That was the conclude last week, right? The guys that were here. The guys that weren't here could go listen online. Now we'll do bitachon. We'll continue with trusting in Hashem, and then the topic will be today in halacha. who you're allowed to trust when somebody tells you it's kosher, and who you're not allowed to trust when somebody tells you it's kosher. Who loses their trustworthiness and who doesn't. That's going to be the topic today. We're going to discuss Dina Kashrut and Dina Eden Chadayimam B'Yisurim, but we'll discuss that after. Now let's do a little bit of bitachon, right? So, because you see, a lot of people ask me those questions all the time. I don't like to answer particular questions about particular places. I give you the general guidelines and the general rules, and you use your brains from there. So we speak about bitachon. We said that a person has bitachon, he has advantages over somebody who's a chemist. Remember we mentioned the chemist who could take copper and turn it into gold, into silver, and become very wealthy very quick. He says a person that's a chemist cannot get to his parnasa, right? Cannot get to food and sustenance and with the gold and silver that he has. A person might have a lot of gold and silver, but if there's no food, there's no food. What is he going to do with all the gold and silver, right? He says sometimes there might be a famine, which Baruch Hashem we haven't experienced. Hopefully we will never experience, B'ezrat Hashem. You never know what might hit the world, chas v'shalom. We always have to daven that Hashem should be merachem. But, before, every country needed as much resources as it can. We didn't have so much artificial stuff like we have today. But it says, people, the Navi says, Kaspam uzdavam lo yuchal etzinam b'yom evrat Hashem nafseam. It says when HaKadosh Baruch Hu brings a wrath into the world, when Hashem wants to punish the world, and He takes away the shefa chas v'shalom, it says all the money and gold that people have will not save them. All the wealth people will have will not help them. He says gam kaspam v'gam zdavam lo yichal etzinam. It's Nevi'im, Yechezkel, Tzefania. But he says a person that has real bitachon in Hashem lo yechsal lo mizono b'chol ed v'chol makom ad sof yamav. He says a person has bitachon in Hashem, a person trusts in Hashem, he will not lack food and sustenance his whole life until the day he dies, no matter what happens in the world.
Bitachon in what though?
Trust, he trusts in Hashem.
So what? He's going to bring me food, don't put money in the bank account, don't put savings in for the kids.
So that, to a certain extent, everybody and their level of bitachon. We'll see later on what bitachon is and how a person should apply.
But you still have to do
how a person, we just started, we're still in the introduction. We're going to learn about what bitachon is, how to put it into practicality, when a person is allowed to have bitachon, when a person is not allowed to have bitachon. But it's telling you that if a person trusts in Hashem, even if there's a famine, Hashem will save a person from death. Hashem roi lo yechsar. Kadosh Baruch Hu takes care of a person, he will never lack anything. Lo yevosh beit ra'av v'mi ra'avon yizbaon. It says those people that have bitachon, Hashem, they will not be disgraced during evil times, and during times of starvation they will have what to eat. This is for people that have real trust in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Now, real trust in HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't mean a person could look very religious, doesn't mean anything. Real trust in HaKadosh Baruch Hu requires work and effort, and it's avodat Hashem. Right? It's not just lip service. It's not just a person could say something on the outside and suddenly he becomes a Babi Bitachon. It says another thing, a chemist, right? He doesn't like to stay in one place at one time. He can't stay in the same place all the time because people might find out exactly what he's doing. Now this particularly applies to him. But it says a person that has Bitachon and Hashem, he can stay where he is, and wherever he is, HaKadosh Baruch Hu could supply him to whatever he needs. It says the ninth advantage, right? It says that the chemist, everything that he does is only just to save him from poverty and from the need to need people in this world. Like the Chamim say, a person that needs people for his sustenance, a person that looks forward to people for his life support. Olam chashuch ba'ado, he lives in darkness because his life always depends on others only. But right, a chemist, you're right, he works, he makes his money, he doesn't need other people, but it doesn't come to him. After 120, it doesn't really go anywhere with him. After 120, a person goes up to Shemaim.
But he lies and cheats, that's why. Not because he doesn't.
No.
He's changing copper into gold.
Okay, so it's not stealing anybody. No, I'm talking.
Switching.
No, we're not talking about people that are switching. We're talking about reality. We're talking about, think about if such a thing would be possible. Imagine how much money you'd be able to make. You would think that, wow, this guy's the luckiest person in the world. And even so, we're trying to tell you why a person trusts in Hashem is better.
Compound.
No. He's actually doing it. Yeah.
I got you.
It's not Chinese silver. Ve'ilo b'teich b'Hashem, right?
Which one's this meals?
Right?
What
because like it's not real. Right? Ve'ilo b'teich b'Hashem, but a person has trust in Hashem, The reward that Hashem rewards a person that he has bitachon in Hashem is in this world and in the next world. Then in this world he has chesed surrounding him, and in the next world HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives the person that has bitachon in Hashem tremendous amount of schar. Another thing we're going to mention is that the chemist, if people are going to find out what his profession is, right? Not only that, his profession in of itself is not healthy for him, and if people find out what he's doing, what's going to happen is they could wipe him out. They're not going to like exactly what he's doing. But he says
what exactly was doing as a chemist?
So over here he brings like what he was saying, right? People are going to find out that a lot of the stuff that he does is not real, right? Like he was trying to say, a lot of the stuff, so people are going to catch him, they could kill him, right? But also such a person is always put in like dangerous situations. But he says a person that trusts in Hashem, even if people realize his trust in Hashem, right, it's still a advantage, it's still a mila to him. And he says not only that, a person that has bitachon in Hashem, the zchut that he brings to the city is that he saves the people of his city from different sarot, as it says, tzaddik yisod olam.
One person?
Yeah.
How does he say?
The zchut of this individual living in amongst that atmosphere gives a shmira. It gives a shmira for the whole entire
community. Tzaddik is in the city, nothing is supposed to happen.
Correct. A person that person that has a true bal bitachon is on that darga, right? That he protects his whole city from tzar. One of the reasons is because when a person is connected, for example, if a person is a bal bitachon, a person is a tzaddik, a person is a very righteous person, so he doesn't deserve to suffer. So if he's connected to somebody, if that person is meant to suffer, Hashem will not punish him because it's going to cause the tzaddik to suffer. Because the tzaddik doesn't deserve to suffer. Right. So for example, if you're connected to a very holy and righteous person, and if you get hurt, Chas Hashem, it would hurt him. So if he doesn't deserve to get hurt, Hashem won't punish you. Understand the logic?
Yeah. It's an interlock chain. One affects the other.
Yeah, so what happens is that a person that has such tremendous zuchuyot, a person that's a tzaddik yisod olam.
I said live next to tzaddik like you, so the Hashem not going to punish you. Hang out with you, so I'm not going to be punished.
Make sure we see you at 8 o'clock.
Yes. By Hassan's budget, Hashem.
Yeah, so a person that's a tzaddik, he protects the city. You should know the Ben Ish Chai is a very big chiddush on a tzaddik, whether he protects the city and how he protects the city, but that's for another time. It's not every tzaddik. Now, also this is a very big advantage here. He says the person that trusts in Hashem, it gives the person the ability to be able to serve Hashem with his fullest heart. What does that mean? Imagine a person has bitachon in Hashem and he's very wealthy. He has a lot of money, he's doing well, right? A person that has bitachon in Hashem and sits on a lot of money, he fulfills the will of Hashem with nadiv lev, right? He fulfills his obligations towards Hashem and he fulfills his obligations towards people. That a person doesn't use his money for his own selfish ta'avot, but rather a person uses his money and he uses the blessings that Hashem gave him to fulfill the will of Hashem in the world. He wants to bring more Torah into the world. He wants to bring more spirituality into the world. The person trusts in Hashem and he sees that Hashem gave him money. He wants to use the money to be mali the ratzon Hashem and not his own ta'avot. And if a person has bitachon in Hashem and he doesn't have financial assets, right, he knows that this is what HaKadosh Baruch Hu didn't want to give him the financial assets. He's free from the responsibilities that Hashem wanted to give him. We need to say as follows. Imagine if a person wasn't blessed with wealth, right? A person wasn't blessed with wealth, and whatever he does, he's not going to get it. It's like running after your own shadow. He's not there for you, you're not going to catch it, right? So such a person like that, he says, oh, Baruch Hashem, Hashem didn't give me the tremendous responsibility, because most people look at wealth as, oh, I have it, I can have kavod, and I can have my own ta'avot, and I can do whatever I want. So when people look at wealth as a self-fulfilling ta'avam, then when they don't have wealth, they lose it, right? Kavod, kina, gaiva, all these things start to attack a person. But when a person looks at wealth as a possession that Hashem gives them, now he has a tremendous responsibility. Why did Hashem give me this? That after 120, Hashem is going to bring him to dinner and cheshbon for everything that Hashem gave him. So when a person doesn't have it, he says, okay, Baruch Hashem, I don't have this responsibility. HaKadosh Baruch Hu didn't give me this headache. Right?
It's positive.
As it says, Hashem etzileni b'yuzo nefesh. One of the Hasidim one time said, one of the righteous people said, Hashem should save me from my soul being scattered all over. What does that mean? He said, imagine if I would have businesses all over the place. my mind would be all over the world, especially people that work overseas, no? Right? Your mind is all over the world. You have 20 people, 20 different places, your mind is always all over the place. So it says, Baruch Hashem, he didn't have to worry about any of this. And then from Mele it says, Marbe nechasim marbe da'aga. The more assets a person has, the more money that a person is revolving around, the more headache a person has. A person can never become. Right? And also it says, who's considered really rich? A person that's happy with what he has. A person that can come home, sit, he's calm, he's relaxed, he can enjoy life. That's a person who's really rich. A person might have a lot of assets, but if his mind is always elsewhere, he can never enjoy what he's doing. He's always elsewhere, and mentally, he can never fully be involved in anything that he's doing.
But some people becoming rich without even knowing that they're going to become rich.
That's true.
That's
a true wealthy person.
That's a true wealthy. Он работает, он сидит, он работает. Есть врачи зубные по 50 тысяч в день делают, но он работает, он все равно работает.
Потому что he's hungry for money.
He's not hungry. He's just working.
Just has a luck.
No, he's trying to say there are people like that.
The guy is working.
The Ben Ish Chai says there's two different types of people that. The Ben Ish Chai says there's two different types of people that are zocheh to parnasa. He said one, that no matter what people do, parnasa always runs after them. Even if they fall into a bad deal, somehow it will work out at the end, right? He says two, because he's destined to be rich. That's it. He says two, people are destined to be rich, but it's also based on their ishtadlus. If they make the right moves, they'll make it. If they won't, they won't. It's there for them, but it's really dependent on their ishtadlus. So people have different destiny, we'll call it, different mazalot or whatever it might be, right?
Two different types of people.
Huh?
What are the two different types of
I
people?
just explained. One, that if two different types of people that have mazel to be rich. One is that no matter what they do, money always chases them. Two, that no, the money is there, but it depends on their moves. If they make the right moves, they'll get it. They won't, they won't. Right? Now, a person that trusts in Hashem, he has bitachon in Hashem, he'll get his parnasa without the complications that it'll take over his mind. And he won't constantly be involved in worrying. Right, as it says, the person that works with his bitachon, he sleeps quietly. But the person that's rich, the satiation he has doesn't let him sleep. His mind is always occupied with something else. He wakes up in the middle of the night, he starts thinking about things. He goes to sleep, his mind is always all over the place. Right?
How do you give the corporations back to, let's say you get old and you have owner of big corporation, then you try. Some people give to a total stranger, the $1 billion company, than to give their own sons, because the sons are idiots. And they put somebody on top, totally different guy. How this works? Eventually he's going to leave everything on this earth.
So what does that have to do with what I'm saying now? I'm just saying to say that a person that has bitachon, he has this parnasa without all the worries and without all the headaches. As opposed to a person that doesn't trust in Hashem, his mind, he's always constantly worried, he's always constantly occupied.
That's the second. Where he
That's
thinks
the person
about
that
it,
has
he's
no
always
emunah.
there, that's why
Yeah.
Bitachon.
Doesn't have
to a
bitachon,
total
correct.
stranger than his son.
No,
That's what he said.
Eventually you're going to leave this earth and everything going to be here.
Not
Right.
take nothing with
You're
him.
not going to take out. So
Always think
That's
about
what he's talking about.
Therefore-
About the bitachon.
Therefore, make sure that you use your money wisely. Bitachon in Hashem also brings the person to serve Hashem. Right? That a person that has bitachon in Hashem, his money doesn't withhold him back from serving Hashem. Because he doesn't trust in his money anyways, he trusts in Hashem. So the money is looked at just like a deposit that Hashem gave him, that he uses it with certain conditions that he knows he's going to have a certain time frame in order to be able to use it. If he has money for a long time his whole life, he doesn't use the money to rebel against Hashem. He's always serving Hashem, he's always nichna to Hashem. Some people that have money, they become bewildered, they forget about Hashem, they don't do anything. Spirituality becomes the last thing on their list, and then they do whatever they want.
people go to jail. They put kippah, when they come out, they forget about that.
That's also true. You told me about those type of people
Only 2 guys
before.
that kept the kippah after they came out of jail.
What are you going to do? They didn't have a right.
20 guys who never went to jail and they have kippah profession.
No. When it's bad, when they went to jail, they started to
It's
keep
always like that.
tefillin,
Whenever it's
this,
bad,
that, and then they...
people
Right.
remember God.
So a
That's
person
When they came out,
that has bitachon in Hashem, right? Whenever he does good things for people, he doesn't remember, oh, I did something for this person, I did something for that person. He doesn't expect anything to anybody, right? He doesn't expect even thank you or praise or anything, because he knows that if HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave me the financial abilities that I have, and somebody came to me for help and I helped him, Baruch Hashem, that Hashem gave me the ability to be a shliach, to be able to do something good for somebody. Thank God that Hashem helped me pick this person up. For example, I know somebody at a chavruta. He had a very successful business. His partner kind of he ruined his life. He put like he told me like 17 FBI cases on him. The kid said he ruined it. His partner took out all the money. He set up his partner. He made him lose everything. And he told me he got to a point. He told me he was making from $4 to $8 to $1 million a year, something like that. And then he lost everything to the extent that he told me that he was living off tzedakah all I know. Right? Chas v'shalom. And what happens? One rich guy that he knew wanted to help him. So he came, he invested into a business. He told him, I'll take 70% of the business back, 70% of the business, you take 30%, and I'll pay you a salary every month also, until you could get yourself back up, and eventually until I make all my money back. Why? This guy already has millions of dollars. He doesn't need the money. Right? But for him to help him is not losing anything. I'm just helping him. I'm investing, I'm making a little bit money, and I'm also helping somebody regain his life back. Right?
No, because he still had his mind in business set.
Right, he had that, so he's betting.
The point being is that a person who trusts in Hashem looks at himself also as a vehicle of how can I help people as well. He doesn't only just use his money to fulfill his own ta'avot. Right, to fulfill his own tavot. He didn't need to come to this guy and offer him this. He could have invested his money somewhere else and made much more money. But he wanted to pick him up. And he wanted to pick him up, right? And
not
he says that
trust this though. Not everybody will just capture that. They agree with that. With someone that actually willing to help.
You have to know how to do it.
That's because people might think that he did something. That's why FBI went after him. But he was.
You have to know how to do it, and you know the person, right? But the point being is that when you help somebody, you don't expect favor in it in return. You don't expect, oh, now this guy owes me his whole life. I helped him. No, you know that you helped him because Hashem gave you the zchus to help such a person. Abal B'tachon looks at life like that. Hashem gave me the opportunity to help him. I don't need thank you from anybody. Hashem gave me the money not only for myself. I helped him also. But if a person loses all his money, he says, this is the hard one, right? This is the hard one. If a person loses all his money, but he has bitachon in Hashem, he doesn't give him anguish and pain that he lost his money. Rather, he knows Hashem gave it to me. He gave it to you a certain amount of time. Now Hashem took it back. I'm still happy with what I have. HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave it to me as a nisan for how long I need. And now Hashem took it back. As it says, Tzaddik ochel osov nafsho. He doesn't now start to become jealous of everybody. He wants to bring people down. He doesn't start looking at other people and start to become hungry on other people's money. But no, he looks at it as a direct taking and giving from Hashem, and now Hashem gave him a different purpose in life. Not everybody's like that. Most people might lose it and so on. But a person has real bitachon, which is not so easy to find people that have real bitachon. It's very easy to say you have bitachon. But to find people that have real bitachon is not such a walk in the park.
But people make the wrong decisions in business.
Those wrong decisions.
For example, now watch business was going up and up. Just like in 3 weeks, because we're not talking about 10 years. Now everybody was so smart and these are the women. It knows that.
That's because it was an inside trade. All this was going between all the.
But it was business and people need people that wasn't involved in watches became so rich.
How much can they go
Quite
up?
certain people,
Crazy.
they have the money, they have plenty,
Dealers did it themselves.
they make plenty of money for the last let's say 5 years, 10 years, let's say 2-3 years, and they're greedy, they want more, another 5, another 10 million, another 50, they're not stopping. And they're taking risk, and they're willing to sacrifice
The Gemara says,
family, the
right?
life of the whole family.
That's already bad. But
And I see this a lot of lately happening.
The Gemara says that people that have 100, they want 200. People that have 200, they want 400. It never ends. The taba for money never ends. It's like adrenaline, exactly. A person needs to know how to keep a proper balance. It's a big test. A person needs to know how to keep a proper balance. You have to have responsibilities and you have to have an order in life.
The risk when you want to double. When you realize this, if I made it this much, why can't I make double? What's going to happen back? I can do it.
Every day.
The sky's my limit. If I made a million, I can
sweet.
Once a day.
So sweet, because so nice.
Some people already
But I'm watching
and they're buying the food stamp cards on the black market.
How do you think they became millionaires?
Wait,
Wait, hold on a second. How do you think they became millionaires?
already millionaires, they have a Section 8 apartments and they sublease it. Come on,
That's how they became millionaires.
Очень много.
No. But already
А ты не понимаешь.
America helped you. Give somebody else to her.
To who?
To some people, it becomes a sickness to a certain
It's a
extent
sickness
already.
and he's subleasing.
They have a food stamp, they have Medicaid, and they live in big houses, and they're doing well. They have big businesses.
I've never been on
I'm just saying.
We're dealing with that.
I've seen that before. So now let's get into halacha. Let's get into halacha. The halacha is, right, when are you allowed to believe somebody?
But isn't mutar, I'm sorry.
When you test him,
isn't mutar?
you can't just believe it.
A person who has money as well, but he's a savvy, he's smart, he knows how to get to. He has EBT, he has Medicaid, he knows how to do this. Is that a sewer that he's doing that? That
Maybe.
He's taking advantage of the system.
Of the system?
Maybe.
It's a sewer, yeah.
Maybe.
But the guy's smart. Like half of Brooklyn, all the Hasidim, they're doing that.
No, you got 10, 11
The whole
kids.
entire
Listen,
Brooklyn, my
listen.
friend.
No, I'm sorry.
You get 10, 11 kids.
Please, let's go back to the main subject.
Now,
And they don't have tuition like us.
halacha is
Tuition is $1,800.
halacha is like this.
Why even opening your mouth? Everybody went through school. Everybody went through yeshivas. That's a big
Your yeshiva
expense.
wasn't.
Don't tell me.
Guys,
my time
let's-
wasn't money like that.
Which Masechet?
Let's a few of them. Let's get back into the sugiyot. I just want to give an introduction. Many people, I went to a shul the other week. Tzaddik. I went to a shul the other week, and this one guy, he was speaking about when you're allowed to trust restaurants, when you're allowed to trust people, right? Say if I go somewhere, and the guy tells me, yeah, everything here is glad kosher, everything is Bet Yosef, everything this, everything that. Am I allowed to believe?
Or it's his
Anywhere or anything. When am I allowed to believe him? When am I not allowed to believe him?
Don't believe it.
Right? Now let's start from the beginning. The Gemara says, Eid echad ne'eman b'yisurim. One witness is believed to testify on something, whether it's matur or asur, whether it's kosher or it's not kosher. The Rashi points out, Sharei emina Torah lekol echad ve'echad mi'Yisrael. The Torah believed everybody when it comes to separating truma, for example, right? I separate truma, I give to Kohen. Now I need to separate all the trumot and masrot, and then I also give to the aniim, I give to the leviim. Nobody needs to be concerned. Maybe I didn't separate truma gedolah, maybe I didn't do this. I give it to you, I told you I did it, you believe me, right? Valashchitan. If I come shecht an animal, right, and you come to my house and you want to eat, right? The Torah didn't say, no, you have to have witnesses that you shechted the animal. The Torah gave belief to people, right?
If he's
One second. We're getting there. The Torah gave ne'emanu to people. That when a person, right, I'll just tell you the Gemara's in the I don't want to open all of them. Right, that when a person, for example, Rashi points out that if the Torah wouldn't give ne'emanu to people, nobody would be able to eat in anybody's houses. Not only that, trust, right? Not only that, and the korbanot in the Beit HaMikdash. The Kohanim didn't have to shech the animal, shchita kashira bazar, right? Somebody could shech this animal and say, I checked it and give it to the Kohen. The Kohen wouldn't ask questions. Do you have witnesses? Who did the bidika? Do you know what you're doing? You have a tu'udah? He didn't ask anything. He brought it into the Beit HaMikdash. Why? And the Kohen also ate from it. Why? Because Eid echad ne'eman b'yisurim.
Back to your question to the OU of the thing.
That has nothing to do with Eid echad ne'eman b'yisurim. No,
because if
doesn't.
you believed, if the OU and you believe OU that it's kosher.
Tzaddik, listen to
why
my
can't you eat it?
listen to my show last week and then ask me a question afterwards. Right?
Go to the
So
website.
so
That's what he's saying. You can't even.
You could.
one guys, get off the
Because you
OU.
believed it.
You can listen to the show last week and then you ask me the question afterwards. Now, Eid echad ne'eman b'yisurim. I go to your house, for example. You're from guy. What do I have to worry about? You tell me, Rabbi, everything in my house is 100%.
You're allowed to eat.
No problem. I go to your house, I eat everything. Do I need to tell you, I want to see this? Where'd you buy this? Where'd you buy that? I don't need to ask any questions. Why? You're from Shurot Torah Tzvat guy. What do I need to ask questions for? However, the Shulchan Aruch brings many different times where you're not believed. Right? The Shulchan Aruch brings many different times that you're not believed. Right? The Shulchan Aruch says like this: HaKashud ledavar isur en lismoch alav v'dvarim anechalim. The Shulchan Aruch says like this: HaKashud lechol dvarim asurim. If a person is suspected to eat things that are not kosher. Imagine you know somebody that you suspect him to eat things that are not kosher. He keeps Shabbat, but he eats things that are not kosher. He says, I go out. It doesn't make a difference, outside, inside. He tells you, listen, I go, fish, I eat everywhere. Right? Or he tells you, cheese, I'm not so makpid if it's kosher or not. right? Cheese, I'm not makbid to eat it, right? Whether or not he's suspected that he eats an Issa D'Oraita, or whether he's suspected Issa D'Rabanan, you can't believe him. You can't believe him in the things that he himself does not keep. For example, if I know this guy eats not kosher cheese, I know for a fact. Meat, all the stuff he eats kosher. Cheese, he eats not kosher. You come to his house, he makes you dairy stuff. He tells you everything glad kosher. You're not allowed to
You can trust him then.
You cannot trust him.
Because he himself doesn't.
Right. He loses his trust to what he does not keep himself.
Oh, only to what he doesn't keep.
He's in the middle.
What if you
He's
know
shaking back and forth.
One second.
I have a better question.
We'll get to all the
If he
questions.
doesn't keep kashrut and dairy, then how can I assume that he keeps it in the basar?
Yeah. Because he said he doesn't keep.
No, you know this person. Everything he keeps kosher except cheese is not makbid.
Because he said that. You're not makbid kosher on cheese?
He's not makbid on wine.
If he's so making...
I'm not talking about Chalav Yisrael. Say he's not
So if I
makbid.
don't keep Chalav Yisrael, you're not allowed to eat
No.
the
He's not. He's not makbid. Say somebody keeps kosher, but non-kosher wine he drinks.
I can't eat anything about him. What do you mean?
Why?
I can eat everything else, but wine I can't touch. Person like that, he's so... What's it called?
So 1 second. We read just one statement in the Shulchan Aruch. Be patient. We'll get to all the questions. Right? If somebody drinks not kosher wine, the Shulchan Aruch says wine you're not allowed to drink in his house. Why? He's not believed to tell you the wine is kosher. Just wine. 1 second. Now, the Shulchan Aruch held that whenever you see somebody, you assume that everybody is kosher. You don't suspect people. Stam, I don't need to suspect you. I see you're a religious guy. I don't need to suspect you. The Ramah says no. Even if you don't know that guy that is muhzak bekashrut, if you don't know for a fact that this guy is muhzak bekashrut, the Ramah says, you're not allowed to buy anything from him.
Buy or eat from him.
1 second. We're going to get to differentiating between buying. We're going to get differentiating between eating. The Ramah makes a chiluk. In order to buy from somebody, you need to know for sure 100% that he is shomer Torah mitzvot, that he keeps Shabbat, that he keeps kashrut, that he keeps everything in order to buy from him. Otherwise, he's not trustworthy. Right?
His own grocery store, you mean?
Yes. 1 second. Right? No, if the product is kosher and sealed with the hechsher,
from Israel.
I don't need to trust him. The product is in front of me. I don't need your trust. I'm talking about things that I need your trust. Right? Now, if I go to somebody's house and he seems like a frum guy, according to the Shulchan Aruch, if he seems like a frum guy, he has a kippah, I see he looks like a religious guy. And you end up in his house and he puts food in front of you. According to the Shulchan Aruch, I don't need to ask questions. I can assume that he's kosher. 1 second. But if I go to a store, it is more concerning. Why? The Rambam says people have a strong passion to make money, and when it comes to selling stuff, sometimes people can convince themselves that everything's okay. Chai, this is okay. What's the problem with this? Nah, this is and they start playing around. Right?
So fish you're not allowed to buy from him?
1 second. We'll get to everything. 1 second. Right? Now we're going to get to somebody that now, if you go to his house, you could... Now, what about who's considered somebody that's suspected? Do I need to know for a fact with witnesses that this guy doesn't eat kosher? Or is it enough that I just heard he doesn't eat kosher? That's true. Once I already heard.
What says if you hear, don't believe.
No, but this is something else. This is for your own thing.
If I heard,
50% cut down.
if I heard that somebody doesn't keep kosher, now I'm not allowed to believe it mitzvah lashon hara, but I'm allowed to suspect it, right? Now
you're not allowed to.
He's considered kashut. He's not considered rasha. Kashut. He's suspected. We suspect that he doesn't keep. Now, such a person, you want to go to his house. He looks from. Somebody tells you, I'm telling you, this guy doesn't keep kosher. I know. Right?
That's a fact.
Подожди.
This is a fact.
The from talking about other from that is not kosher.
You don't know a guy. The guy tells you, come to my house. You don't know him. Right? Say you just started to do business with him. He invites you to his house. You don't know if he keeps anything or not. You don't feel comfortable asking him. Somebody else that knows you tells you, listen, this guy doesn't keep kosher, you can't eat in his house.
So you should not go.
Now, you go to this guy's house, you're in a rumor, as long as it's not his enemy, you have to take it into consideration.
Right.
Or, if it's known, the rabbi in your shul tells you, listen, this guy doesn't keep kosher, you can't eat in his house.
What if he doesn't keep Shabbat?
1 second, one thing at a time, right? Now you go to his house, and you know he doesn't keep kosher. Suspect that he doesn't keep kosher. But you come to his house, he tells you, everything here, glad kosher. I swear to you on my mother, he tells you.
I say swearing like that, you already know it's not kosher.
You're not allowed to eat. You are not allowed to eat if somebody does not keep kosher, even if he doesn't keep kosher, even outside his house. You know when he goes on vacation, he eats outside of his house, not kosher. Even in his house, if he tells you keeps kosher, not allowed to eat.
Because if he's not machmir over there,
he loses his ne'emanut. He has no trust anymore.
People do that. They don't keep. They eat not kosher outside, but in the house, everything's kosher. How does he gain it back?
What?
How does he gain back his ne'emanut?
One thing at a time. Now, a person that you go to his house and he doesn't keep kashrut and he tells you everything is kosher, he's not believed. Now, what about if a person, he tells you he keeps kosher, nobody ever said he doesn't keep kosher, but he drives on Shabbat, he doesn't keep Shabbat. He's mechalel Shabbat, he doesn't keep Shabbat.
You're not allowed to go to buy from
He's considered like a goy. What goy? Can I tell you something? I'm sorry.
He's not believed also. If somebody does not keep Shabbat and he breaks Shabbat publicly and you come to his house and he tells you everything is glad kosher and it's on the table, you are not allowed to eat anything in his house. Rav Avadja says you're not allowed to even eat an apple in his house because once you start eating, we're concerned you're going to eat more.
what if he eats everything kosher inside and outside, but he doesn't keep Shabbat? You're allowed to eat in his house?
What kind
Not
of
allowed.
wait?
Are you allowed to go to his house?
If it's mechalel Shabbat before Hesi, you can't eat in his house.
He's not. He's.
What about his parents?
He doesn't keep Shabbat.
Yeah. What if the parents?
What
let's say
about
I'm
the
religious,
parents?
for example.
We had
But
a
some people
conversation
become
yesterday.
very religious.
Wait.
People,
We had a
parents
conversation
stay.
yesterday.
One
But
question
if the
at a time,
parents,
please.
the parents,
Please,
are
everybody,
not
respect
religious.
each other's questions. Yeah.
If the parents are not religious, you became religious with your wife. So they keep Shabbat, everything. I'm sorry, they don't keep Shabbat.
Parents don't keep.
But they keep kashrut and everything inside and outside.
They publicly disgrace Shabbat or quietly?
Publicly. You see them.
Yeah, I mean they drive. They.
Once a person breaks Shabbat publicly,
So you're allowed to go to
the halakha is they lose all their ne'emanut, and in order for them to eat in your house, you need to call your parents. You need to have a serious meeting with them. You need to explain to them. You need to tell them if you want us to eat in your house.
Even though they open it right next to you.
You shouldn't eat by
One second.
Let them speak.
Right? Trust they don't have. If you come to their house and there's food on the table and you cannot see anything, everything's there. You don't know anything there. And you know they don't keep Shabbat. If they tell you everything is kosher, they're not believed. No ne'emanut. However, if you are smart, you have to take all the dishes to the mikveh. You go get all the meat by yourself and you send your wife to their house to sit and help them cook everything with them, so you know your wife saw everything and she saw everything's kosher, and then you can eat with them.
What if you trust your parents?
You cannot trust people that don't break Shabbat.
You don't trust me, что за сын, I raised you.
Квадрат, да,
Yes.
да. Квадрат. Один вопрос. А кто quietly breaking Shabbat, это можно у него кушать? Тоже нельзя.
No, it's different. I'll tell you
Why?
why.
What's different?
If a person,
Подожди, слушай. No, подожди.
if a person breaks Shabbat, but he's embarrassed, he does it quietly, only in his house.
Okay.
And he keeps kosher inside his house, outside his house, only kosher. Right? But he breaks Shabbat privately. He doesn't want anybody to see. Such a person doesn't lose his ne'emanut. If he tells you everything.
Eat in his house?
Yeah.
Короче, давай, спрячься. Иди зайди или выйди.
Guys, like 100 people listen to this online. You can't scream so much. People get nervous.
No,
Right.
this guy makes so much noise, so many interesting things. Он заходит, выходит, wants to be important. He's a good guy.
So like this. So the next thing is like this.
Чигав сладкое кушаешь?
So let me tell you. If a person keeps Shabbat and he keeps kashrut, he's believed. But let me tell you something. Rav Yaakov has a chidush. He says, even though somebody might be believed, for example, if I want to go to your house, I want to eat. I trust you. You're shomer Torah mitzvot, you're shomer kashrut. You tell me everything's bet yourself, everything's gatush, everything's yash and everything, okay. I have no reason to suspect anything.
Wait, so
One second. But what's the problem here? Is that you're not aware that when you're going outside and you're buying everything from all these stores, you have no idea what you're buying.
Well, you grew up in your parents' house, let's say.
One
Say you
sec,
got
forget
married,
about
you
your parents for a
become religious,
second.
you know they keep kosher.
Forget.
You're saying if they don't keep Shabbat, we cannot go to their house and eat?
If they break Shabbat publicly,
Well, yeah.
Not publicly. What? In front of everybody, he takes the car out of the driveway.
Well, yeah, people know they don't keep Shabbat. People know.
The
But
question is
it's
different.
parents that send the kids to yeshiva and they made the best
For
effort.
example, I'm gonna drive next to the
so they didn't tell you not to eat in their house. I told you can't trust them if you don't see. You have to sit with them and you have to explain to them.
Не надо про других говорить. Это не твой бизнес. Не надо.
You have to sit to them and explain to them how much you love them and how much you respect them and how much you just want them to do the right thing and you want everything to in their house to be kosher and you have to try to be makar of them, but you cannot rely on whatever they tell you because they don't keep Shabbat. You don't know what they're doing in their kitchen. You don't know what they're buying. They don't have ne'emanut. You can't trust them if you don't see it. You could eat in their house, but you just have to make sure that you know everything from beginning to the end and you know their pots and everything else is kosher.
Hashem, 90%.
Right.
Пойдем, Марон.
Now,
Мы должны пойти в больницу.
one more thing we'll discuss and we'll continue next week. Really, it's a very big topic. I wanted to get into a lot of questions. Right? Now, we know that if somebody, we don't know him, but he has a reputation that he doesn't keep kosher, we say we're not allowed to rely on him. Correct? Now, I asked one of the Gedolim, I don't want to mention his name, I said, did this apply to Hashgacha also or not? I said, what if there's a reputation that Hashgacha is no good? Please don't mention any names about any Hashgacha. I don't want anything to get political. Right? Say there's a reputation of Hashgacha that they know not to be good. Right? They know to have very bad mashgichim that don't know anything. They were known already reputable to have horrible standards and over the years. So this Hashgacha loses their ne'emanut. I asked yes or no. He said yes. They lose their ne'emanut. They become chashudim. That means that even if the Hashgacha writes on the tu'udah, it's this, it's that, if you know for a fact that they're chashud and many times they were caught not like that and they're not on top of the game and the mashgichim are very bad, right? They lose their...
It loses its ne'emanut for you for finding out, because what if it's not so public?
Everybody loses. They lose their ne'emanut for everybody. No.
The conversation was there.
If you don't know is one thing. I'm talking about, for example, you go into a restaurant, you already know this Hashgacha has a horrible reputation, they're not on top of anything, how many times things were going wrong over here, right? The owner of the restaurant, most of the time doesn't keep Shabbat, doesn't keep kosher, no ne'emanut at all.
The owner is not even Jewish.
One second. Does not have any ne'emanut whatsoever. Now, who do you have to rely on? The Hashgacha has no ne'emanut, right? The owner has no ne'emanut. He lost his ne'emanut, right? Who you have to rely on? The mashgiach. Now you have to make sure the mashgiach knows what he's talking about. I can tell you stories upon stories with personally me that I went and I spoke to mashgichim. They don't know products. They don't know where they buy anything from. They don't know how to check anything. They have not one clue of what's happening. I remember one time I went on Shabbat, over here somewhere, I went on a Shabbat to a bar mitzvah, I think it was a few years ago, right? And I go into the kitchen, I see they're cooking, they're doing everything on Shabbat. I go to the mashgiach. They're turning on the fire on Shabbat. I go to the mashgiach, I tell him, look what's happening in the kitchen. He tells me, look, it's better than last week. He tells me, last week they cooked everything on Shabbat. He said, this week they cooked most of the stuff before Shabbat. He tells me. I tell him, are you nuts? I tell him, I see that he's a little bit not, they take mashgichim purposely like this. Right?
They want stupid, right? Because they want smart.
Right?
Smart
so
put them out of business.
I go, and then I see I promise you, I'm talking to the mashgiach. The guy, the owner of the restaurant comes out, he gives the mashgiach a plate of food, he tells mashgiach, he tells me, he sends him over there somewhere and he goes over there. I sat down, I ate a pickle, I went afterwards somewhere else to eat. So who am I going to rely on over here? The tu'udah, the hashgacha, they're careless. Milmart is good, right? The tu'udah, they're careless. The mashgiach doesn't know anything. The owner's not religious. Who am I relying on? Here you don't have ne'emanut.
You trust all the restaurants, you eat all the restaurants.
So if somebody would come and say, the owner would come and say, I swear everything is good over here. He's not believed.
What if someone admitted it
admitted that they didn't keep kosher, and now they said they keep kosher now.
No,
When
it's
you
kosher.
believe-
Is it
You need testimony from his rabbi that he did tshuva, that he changed.
Once again, but if you say you know the owner, you know the mashgiach, and you know their personal lives, they keep Shabbat and in their house and outside they eat kosher. Is that enough, or you have to go and check how everything is in the?
That's enough.
That's enough.
If the owner is muhzak by kashrut, he davens, he learns, a frum guy, and you see the mashgiach is normal, and he tells you, yes, everything here done is right, and everything's like this, everything's like that, that's enough.
What Malamare restaurant, the owner is
In Manhattan.
Yeah, he's not
Yes,
Jewish.
I know.
And he keeps everything glad kosher. It's packed with the...
Over there they have a mashgiach timidi.
Yeah, the real one.
למורה,
Ламаре на 46 Street, да.
Сина, это Ган Эден, который прошлый был.
Не, Ламаре, не Ганна, не Джадзина, in the city, steakhouse. The owner is not
You
Jewish.
should know, for 6 months, years ago, for about 6 months, the chef there was putting butter on all the steaks until they caught him.
They caught
6
him.
months.
They caught him.
But whatever it is, the bottom line is, so the bottom line is, it was all over the place. It's public information. It's not Lashon Hara. It's public information. My point being is, when you want to trust somebody, right, the Shulchan Aruch says that if somebody is suspected that he doesn't keep kosher, he loses his trust. You cannot trust him if he himself does not keep kosher. If he himself does not keep Shabbat, disgraces publicly Shabbat, he himself is not trusted.
Why then the goy keeps the
You go.
restaurant and it's packed?
No, you have a mashgiach there from morning to night, and the mashgiach has the keys to everything. The goy cannot
So
go.
it's allowed, mutar.
Over there, they're trusting the mashgiach, the Ashkaz Chaz on top of everything. You're not looking at the owner.
But the guy
Right.
was putting the butter, he was quiet.
Okay, what are you gonna do? The guy's
Yeah,
gonna
it's
do.
not something.
Nobody's gonna check his pockets every day when he comes in.
Bring the pocket. Yeah.
Right? Okay, so things like that can happen. Belsky one time told me that at like 2 in the morning, somebody was driving back from a wedding. He saw a certain place that was open. The guy was curious. He went under the gate. He looked inside, and he saw they were cutting up cheese, and they were filling it up in the cheese dispensers, right? And he looked close. He saw that the cheese that they were cutting was not kosher, and they were filling it up in all the kosher cheese dispensers. And they have a half a block of kosher cheese in the front to show people that it's kosher cheese. They're doing this like in the middle of the night when nobody sees. So, you know, you could, there's ways to do it. So you have to make sure that the place is being run right. But besides the fact that restaurants and establishments, we'll talk about maybe next week. Right now I'm talking about you go to people's houses. Somebody invites you to a barbecue. Your cousin invites you to a barbecue. You go to his house. The guy does not keep, not Shabbat, not kashrut. The guy doesn't keep anything. You don't know what he bought, what he has. Suddenly he sees you, he comes, hugs you, kisses you, tells him, I bought everything Chaim International, everything Bet Yosef, Glad Kasher, even the mashgiach, everything I bought home, right? So the guy, you don't know anything. You don't see labels. You don't know anything. You don't know kelim. You don't know anything. So a guy like that, you can't trust him. He doesn't keep anything. He loses his ne'emanut and halacha. You need somebody that shomer Torah mitzvot, somebody that keeps kashrut, tells you, yes, I went to the store, I bought everything, I saw everything, I know the kelim where went to the mikvah, I saw everything from A to Z, everything here is good. If somebody else is there that was there from morning to the whole time, and he said, I saw everything here, everything is good, you could believe it. But if a guy doesn't keep anything, he's not ne'eman. We'll continue next week.
חזק ברוך תהיה.